All right, if you're even thinking about buying a home in the next couple of years, I get it. There's this mix of excitement and a whole lot of anxiety. Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise. We are going to demystify what the mortgage landscape really looks like for 2026, and more importantly, give you a solid game plan.
And this is the big one, isn't it? The question on literally every potential homebuyer's mind. We've all been on this roller coaster of volatility, with headlines screaming different things every single day. Are rates going to shoot to the moon? Are they going to crash? What is actually going on?
Okay, let's not waste any time. The experts are actually starting to form a consensus here. On the low end, you've got forecasts from places like Fannie Mae predicting something around 5.8%. Then you have other analysts who see rates maybe touching the high sixes. So the sweet spot, the expert average, is landing right around 6.4%. Now, what does this tell us? Look, the wild days of those 3% rates, yeah, they're over. But what we're getting instead is something way more stable, way more predictable. So, to make sure this all makes sense, here's our roadmap. We just hit the forecast. Next, we'll dig into the factors driving these numbers. Then, the big one, the impact on your wallet. And we'll wrap it all up with a real, actionable game plan so you know exactly what to do.
All right, let's dive into part one, the factors. I mean, knowing the forecast is great, but understanding why the numbers are what they are, that's what gives you the power to make a really smart move. You see, there are these huge forces at play, and they're all kind of pulling rates in different directions. You've got inflation, which the Federal Reserve is watching like a hawk. Then there's the underlying strength of the economy and the labor market. Even what's happening geopolitically matters. It's this constant push and pull that creates a market that's more stable overall, but can still have those moments of volatility. And this really gets to the heart of why even the experts can't seem to agree. It really boils down to two competing stories about the economy, as laid out by analyst Logan Mohtashami. In one corner, you have the belief that the economy is just too fragile, right? It can't handle shocks, so the Fed will be forced to cut rates. But in the other corner, you have the argument that the economy is actually pretty tough, it's resilient, and it can absorb these higher costs, which means the Fed can keep rates higher for longer to fight inflation. This fundamental disagreement is the core reason for all the uncertainty.
So you might be thinking, wait, doesn't the Fed set mortgage rates? And the answer is not directly. The real driver, for the most part, is this, the 10-year Treasury yield. It's the big benchmark. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the tide in the ocean. The 10-year Treasury is the tide, and all the mortgage rates are just boats floating on it. When the tide comes in, when the yield goes up, all the boats rise. When the tide goes out, they all fall. It's that direct.
Okay, enough of the abstract stuff. We've covered the what and the why. Let's get to the part that really matters to you. What does all this mean for your bank account, for your monthly payment? Okay, let's put some real numbers on this. We're looking at a median price home in the US. If rates are at the high end of that forecast, say 7.25%, your monthly payment for just principal and interest is going to be around $2,621. But if rates drop to the low end, down to 5.75%, look at that. The payment falls to $2,242. That's a nearly $400 difference every single month. That is not just pocket change. That is real money. And it gets even crazier when you look at it this way. That monthly difference, it has a massive impact on affordability. To qualify for the exact same house at that 7.25% rate versus the 5.75% rate, you'd need to earn about $15,000 more per year. 15 grand. It just goes to show you how a seemingly small shift in interest rates can literally be the difference between getting a loan or not for so many families. So, with all this in mind, what do you do? How do you actually prepare for this new landscape? This is where we shift from just learning to actually doing. Let's get into our final section, your home buying game plan. I absolutely love this quote because it is so true. Think about it. We will spend months, sometimes years, looking for the perfect house. But then we'll spend maybe a few hours looking for the loan that's going to finance that house for the next 30 years. The takeaway here is huge. If you shop for your mortgage as carefully as you shop for your home, you could save yourself tens of thousands of dollars. It's an absolute game changer. So what does that look like in practice? It's really a three-step process. First, master your finances. This means getting a rock-solid pre-approval so you know your numbers cold, your credit score, your debt-to-income ratio, your true buying power. Second, shop like a pro. Don't just go to your one bank. Compare rates everywhere. Big banks, small local banks, credit unions.
And in a market like this, when you find a rate you like, lock it in. Don't wait. And third, look for hidden help. Seriously, do some digging. There are tons of local and state programs out there for first-time buyers or veterans that can help with down payments or closing costs. You will be amazed what you can find. And finally, I want to leave you with this really important shift in mindset. Plan for the rate you see today. If you can afford the payment now, you're good to go. Because remember, your first mortgage does not have to be your forever mortgage. There's always the option to refinance down the road if rates drop. Think of it as a stepping stone, not a life sentence.
So, as we wrap all this up, I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. The 2026 market is shaping up to be more stable, more balanced, but with these higher rates. So who comes out on top? Is it the patient buyer who can wait for that perfect moment? Or is it the strategic seller who prices their home just right to attract those buyers? The answer to that question will really define the next couple of years in housing. Thanks for tuning in. Hey everyone, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going way beyond just interest rates and home prices to look at the entire ecosystem around the housing market. We're talking about the global forces that are shaping your mortgage and, at the same time, the digital forces that are shaping what you believe about it. Let's get into it. So I want to start with a question. What could mortgage rates and YouTube views possibly have in common? I know, it sounds kind of weird, right? But as you're about to see, they are way more connected than you think. And honestly, understanding that link is the key to really navigating the housing market today.
Okay, so let's start with a part of the story that most of us are pretty familiar with. You know, the big numbers, the major trends you see on the news every night. This is the surface level.
And here are the numbers that are basically driving everything right now. According to Bankrate, we're looking at a national average of 7.2% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, that one single number is causing millions of people, both buyers and sellers, to just hit the pause button. And that's creating one of the biggest logjams in today's market. And that logjam has a name. Experts over at Realtor.com call it the mortgage rate lock-in effect. I mean, just think about it for a second. If you're one of the lucky ones sitting on a 3% mortgage from a few years ago, are you really going to sell your home just to turn around and buy a new one with a rate that's more than double what you're paying now? Yeah, probably not. Most people are saying no, and that's what's keeping housing inventory so incredibly tight. So naturally, all eyes are glued to the Federal Reserve. This timeline from Equals Money shows us the key dates for the rest of the year when they'll make their decisions. But I wouldn't hold your breath for any huge changes. Projections analyzed by Indexbox are suggesting we're likely to see only a single rate cut in 2026. So yeah, every single one of these meetings is going to be a real nail-biter. So that brings us to the next big question, right? If the market is this frozen for the average person, how in the world are professional investors still making deals? Well, it turns out they're playing a completely different game with a completely different playbook. So let's peel back another layer here. Let's look at the specialized tools and the kind of deeper mechanics that the pros are using to navigate this exact type of market. Now check this out. While most of us are familiar with traditional loans on the left, which are based on our paychecks and tax returns, investors are using something totally different called a DSCR loan. DSCR, it stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. And as sources like Zytro explain, it basically means the loan qualifies based on the property's ability to make money, not the buyer's personal income. All that matters is if the rent can cover the mortgage. This is the secret sauce for how investors can buy property after property and scale up so fast. The pros also know that the rate you get offered isn't just pulled out of thin air. Trust Financial Group breaks down this hidden assembly line. It all starts with a baseline that's set by U.S. government bonds. Then, lenders take thousands of mortgages and bundle them together into these things called mortgage-backed securities, or MBS. And it's the demand from huge investors for these MBS packages that really shapes the final interest rate that you and I see. Okay, so we've got the big economic picture, we've got the investor's playbook, but there's a third absolutely crucial layer we have to talk about. How does all of this complicated financial info actually find its way to you? This is where the whole story gets really, really interesting. Welcome to what you might call the meta layer of the housing market, the great digital content gold rush. This is the massive, powerful engine that is shaping what we all think and, honestly, in a lot of ways, the market itself. It all kicks off with this number, $42. So what is that? Well, according to MediaCube, that's the average CPM, that's the cost per thousand ad views, on a finance-focused YouTube channel. That is an incredibly high number, and it just proves how valuable your attention, your eyeballs, are to this whole industry.
But hold on, it gets even crazier than that. If a company wants to buy ads to get in front of you, the costs are just astronomical. Data from ppc.io shows that a single click on a Google ad for a phrase like "get offer on house" can cost almost $190. Let that sink in. We're not talking about a sale, not even a guaranteed lead, just one person clicking one link.
So what does this all mean? The big takeaway is this. When the value of just getting your attention is that high, it creates a fierce, competitive digital gold rush. And that means the information you're getting is designed not just to inform you, but to capture your attention and convert you into a customer. And that can influence your financial decisions in ways you might not even realize.
And here's exactly how they do it. Creators use these specific strategies to win that gold rush. You might see a channel called The Rate Update, and they'll tap right into your immediate anxiety with a title like "Should You Lock or Float?" Or another one, like The Educated Homebuyer, might connect big, scary global news directly to your wallet. These aren't just random titles. They're finely tuned psychological tools, and they are designed to get you to click. Okay, so let's tie all of this together now, because these aren't three separate stories. The Fed's rate decisions, the investor's special loan, and the YouTuber's catchy video title, they are all interconnected parts of a single, very complex information economy that is directly impacting the housing market.
You know, this quote from Redfin just absolutely nails it. They say we are living through the great housing reset. And what's being reset here isn't just about prices and interest rates, it's also about how we get our information and who we decide to trust. The battle to control the narrative is now just as important as the battle for market share. Which leaves us with one final and, I think, pretty provocative thought. In a world where a single click can be worth almost $200 and where millions of financial decisions are being influenced by online content, who really holds the power anymore? Is it still the people with the capital to buy the properties, or is it now the people with the skill to shape the story that everyone else believes? It's definitely something to think about.